Hello everyone, welcome back to Blow Part with myself, Lovery. So today then, I'm going to be chatting to you a little bit about grips. I have a bit of a situation going on at the moment in my golf bag. So you'll have noticed that I've got a new golf bag. Starting to upgrade, a couple of new clubs coming as well. So there was a 5-wood and a new putter arriving. Again, not going to give away what they are just yet, but they are going to be with me hopefully now in the next 3 weeks after filming this. Now, the issue I have at the moment is my grips on my clubs are roughly 2 years old. They're probably getting closer to 3. And they are worn out. Like, I have absolutely battered them. I mean, so much so, I will give you some close-ups in a minute of my Align grips, which I've got, and you'll see actually how bad they are. This has kind of got me thinking, what do I get next? Now, I mean, I've really liked these Align grips, but now there's also the different sizes that you can get as well. And realistically, I've always used 2 wraps of tape going up and down my grips, so 2 wraps underneath just a standard grip. But having used a mid-size recently, and then a mid-size that had 4 wraps all the way under, it felt really comfortable. So I'm really unsure now what to get. So I'm going to show you through the different grips I have currently in the bag. I'm going to show you as well how well my grips have done considering the age, and you'll see how badly they do need replacing. So it's a bit of a review, I guess, of a grip now that's 3 years old, and then we'll chat about why I've got what we've got currently and hopefully what I'm thinking about going for. But definitely would like to hear your guys' feedback in the comments below. Let me know what grips you're using, what size, and then what glove size you use as well, because I think there's a bit of a link on that. So let's get going, let's get into it. So let's start then with my irons. So I've had my irons now, this is probably the 3rd set of grips I think I've had on here. The first couple I changed really quickly because I was playing a lot of the time. These now have lasted a little bit longer. Equally, in my current position, I no longer have access to a shop as such. I have got an account where I can order some grips, which is great, but don't currently have anywhere to install them, although that might be changing in the very near future. But this is my Golf Pride Align grip that you can see here. Now, one of the things that you'll already notice is this huge thumbprint wear, which I don't actually know how far off going down to the shaft that actually is. But I tell you what, these have been awesome. Like, yes, they need replacing. I've cleaned them up a fair few times, but they have been great. One of the key features I really like of this Align is this rib effect underneath here. It just helps the hands. I find when I sit my hands on to grip it, I can just really feel where the club is in the creases, and I can make a reference for that. And in fairness, my grip hasn't been this consistent since I was sort of playing a good few years ago. Actually, I don't think it's ever been this consistent. And again, I really put that down to the ribbing and feeling that ribbing centralizes my hands, because I do have a habit of getting quite strong, certainly with the left hand. And I found with the driver, it's made such a difference. So I've really been a fan of these. So this is where the issue comes in. So this again is 2 wraps of tape under here. And I just find, don't know how well you can see, but my fingers there just squash underneath, just slightly. And that got me thinking, okay, should I try something a little bit larger? So what I did is I went down to the local store near me, and I put on, or asked them to put on a mid-size grip. So this is a mid-size Tor Velvet. I only chose this one because it's really cheap. Then what I found immediately is the hands just seem to sit a lot better. Now, the key thing with this is I haven't got big hands. I take between a small and a medium glove depending on the brand. I really shouldn't already be looking at mid-sized grips, but actually they're exceptionally comfortable. I think the way they sit in the palm and fingers, I just like that as a feel. Now, one of the things I did notice is that as I go larger in the butt end, so as I go up towards a mid-size, the lower end then starts to feel really tapered. Obviously, it's going from thicker to thinner. So the tapering on this feels more severe than it does on my current set. So then I'm thinking, well, now I need to start adding some tape to the lower. So on one of the woods that I've ordered, I've actually ordered a mid-size plus 2 wraps under the bottom hand, but now I'm thinking I'm going enormous and I don't want to go into a huge grip and then go it's exceptionally uncomfortable. So I'm interested to see now what feels comfortable. But I mean, again, when I hit a mid-size grip CP2 with 4 wraps of tape under it, which is enormous, I still hit my normal ball flight. Nothing changed. The only thing I did notice is that my grip pressure was less. And I have noticed I do strangle my grips. And I think, again, the grips have shown that. So realistically, I need to change a couple. So I'm personally thinking to get the Golf Pride MCCs in aligns in a mid-size and then putting 2 wraps of tape under the bottom hand. So here in the white bit would be 2 wraps. And I'm going to change my wedges as well. These Tour Velvet grips, I've not really been very impressed with these. They feel as slick as these ones already. And I mean, these are on my wedges. I mean, I've only had these a month or so. I'm really not impressed. And also they've marked, I don't know how well you can see that there, they've marked quite heavily on there where the thumb sits. So I think I need to go a bit larger on these. I will change these, but these have 2 wraps under them. But I've really not been a fan of these grips. So I'm thinking about going aligned, but then it creates an issue. And this is the real big issue for me. On the woods, when you have an aligned grip, if you change any of the settings at all, except if you have a Callaway, the grip isn't then central anymore, which would upset me. So I need to make sure that I've got everything set. I've still got my TaylorMade driver, and that has an align on it, and I can't currently change the settings because I can't get the grip off to put a new one on. So just wanted to run you guys through some features then of this Align grip, but just looking then from here, a couple of things I really like. Now first off, I've always liked the multi-compound effect. I really like the way you've got 2 sort of textures. You've got the cord at the top, which really I find helps with grip in wet weather. And you've got this sort of softer compound, what feels at the bottom, giving a bit of feel back through the grip. You can see it's just that softer compound here that's just started to give. I say just started to give, it probably gave about 12 months ago, where my thumb sits on the way through. Now one of the features I particularly like, as I was saying before, is this Align part here. So what we've got is that whole bit on the back is raised slightly compared to the grip, and that gives a really nice ribbing effect and actually then sits really comfortably in the hand. So that is still in really good nick. But yeah, certainly when you're looking at the grip from here, I love also you've got this sort of center line here for the thumb, so that aligns the top thumb. I feel like it sits in that groove. Bottom hand then sits down like so, and I've got all this aligned to. So I just really like having that as a feature on this grip. But these have been absolutely amazing. And as I say, they're 3 years old now, so they've really done their bit. I don't think they'd be legal anymore for competition because they've sort of got an embedment mark here, so I will have to change them before I start playing. So my newest grip then in the bag, which is this one, so it's just a Golf Pride Tour Velvet mid-size. So just for you guys that don't know, it will say on the top of the grip here mid-size, so just be mindful of that when you're choosing grips or buying grips. But yeah, this is it. So it's just really nice and simple. There's no cord or anything, it's just rubber all the way down. It's got a decent sort of tactile bit to it. It feels nice, relatively soft, but again, you've got these kind of grooves running through here, so really good feature. So this grip is pretty new, but one of the things you'll notice on the mid-size is it does taper from quite thick to quite thin at the bottom. So that again is where I'm considering those extra wraps. Then last but not least, then I have the grips that came with my wedges. So these are the Tour Velvet 360 standard. So these are completely round, and you'll also notice there are no markings anywhere to align any thumbs or anything. You've just completely round. So obviously a great grip for something maybe on an adjustable driver, or equally sort of something like a wedge where you're kind of opening and closing the face. You don't want that sort of point to put your thumb on to know where it is, because obviously every time it's going to change. So really nice grip, again just the same as the one that was all in black, it just now has the white infills. So I think it's a really cool looking grip, but as I say, I'm just not overly impressed at the fact already there's a bit of a wear mark where my thumb goes. So I maybe ought to look into that, maybe a little bit larger might help me reduce the grip pressure. So I'm just going to hit a few shots of my wedge. So it's a Golf Pride Tour Velvet 360 standard, so there's no ribbing or anything on this, but as I say, it's just seems incredibly slick for the age of it, and I'm not sure let's try and wash it, but I've really not used it enough. But it feels like all that tacky rubber feel has just gone. But what I seem to find with this, it feels like I can really wrap around the golf club and put a lot of pressure on it. It feels very thin. I'm just going to hit a couple of shots to say with it, just to control, or see what my control's like with the face. So for a short shot, I really like the way that feels. I like the thin feeling of the grip. It allows me to really feel like I can get my wrists involved. You know, for certainly a short shot around the green, allowing me to release the head. But my concern is if I go thicker in the wedges, am I going to lose that feel? Am I potentially going to make the head potentially even feel a bit lighter, putting more weight this end? And equally, having the align on the wedges, I think it's going to feel awful, because if you open the face up, the align's going to be running through the palm of my left hand, which is going to feel terrible. So I'm thinking in these grips in particular, and on my wedges, I'm thinking about maybe going for like a round grip. So I'm thinking about maybe going for a mid-size MCC on the wedges, or even something like a CP2 wrap, which is very, very different, but I do like the soft feel of them, and I find it still gives a nice, lovely bit of feel through the grip, even though it's quite thick. I'm just gonna hit one more of these. Does make me laugh. So I'm on a 7-iron now. It does make me laugh how much, you know, my hands do just slot into that groove very much here. I mean, that is completely worn away. This really does now need changing. It's a little bit, almost a little bit embarrassing, but certainly I have absolutely loved these grips. The performance in the wet has just been insane. You know, I've really sort of struggled in the past, sometimes in the wet on the course. I've just found that I can't grip the club, even when you get like the Mac Wet gloves that do wonders. Just couldn't keep hold of it. Where these have been great. And I say, honestly, sorting my grip out, if you struggle with grip issues, highly recommend trying the line. It's been so consistent with this. So I'll just hit a couple of shots again, just feeling it. But the one thing I do find, if it's warm and your hands feel a bit sweaty, sometimes these grips do feel, or because maybe it's a bit smaller, my fingers almost feel like they stick together. But the one thing I do like about this club is I just feel like with the size of grip at the moment, I don't have any issues with the club face. And this kind of brings me on to my 2-iron, which has this mid-size grip. The left hand in particular feels great. The right hand still feels like it can wrap over a little bit too much. So maybe that's where the thickness comes in. But the idea of mid-size plus 2 wraps, certainly on the bottom hand, just sounds a bit scary to me. But again, I just don't seem to have issues squaring the club face. So maybe that says to me, actually, going to a mid-size would be a really good option. So as you can tell, it's a little bit of a dilemma. What do I do next with these grips? I'm definitely thinking round for the wedges, like we said. I'd find it really hard to go away from the aligns, but I've never used an aligned mid-size. So I'm a little bit cautious then. Does the crease of or the ribbing on the grip feel like it's sat in the right place in my hands, or is it going to feel awkward? So I need to really probably try one of those. Now that I've tried the mid-size and actually quite like it, maybe then I can mess around a bit with one club and then fully commit. But I hope you guys found this video useful. As I say, if you are struggling with grips and want to ask any questions, then do let me know below and I'll be sure to help you out. But guys, thank you very much for watching and see you all very soon.